Need to get organized. Okay, our first request to speak is Diane Sherwin, a resident of the district, and on deck is David.
Good evening, board. Actually, I'm going to wait a minute for Superintendent Hansen to sit. Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk about Elmbrook's legacy. Given Superintendent Hansen's planned retirement, this is the time to start reflecting on the legacy that's going to be left behind. We've heard a lot about Elmbrook's wins, but we cannot ignore some serious mistakes that the board and senior leadership have not addressed yet. One is your role and behavior in regards to the COVID vaccine, which did not prevent infection or stop transmission. Even though intentions were good, hubris came along for the ride. Apologies need to be given to students who took the vaccine before prom to avoid a COVID test, but now may need a test for heart damage. Apologies need to be given to staff who felt pressured to take the vaccine from all the discussion that I heard about staff vaccination rates. Now, you may get to discuss increased cancer rates in staff. Apologies need to be given to parents that brought kids as young as 5 to advertised vaccine clinics. These parents may end up needing to bring their kids to clinics to address reproductive damage. Apologies need to be given for ignoring months and months of community concerns, including concerns brought by people in the medical field. If any of these side effects are news to you, it would be helpful to look at medical studies and observations. So what are the next steps to start repairing Elmbrook's legacy? To start, the district needs to work with EEF to rescind the 2021 Excellence in Volunteering Award given to the Medical Advisory Board. The Medical Advisory Board showed a lack of due diligence into the safety of their recommendations. The district and EEF also need to rescind the awards given to our vaccine provider. It's unclear if proper informed consent about the experimental nature of this vaccine was being disclosed, and the provider has already settled a lawsuit for fraud allegations. Finally, the district needs to make enough changes in our senior leadership and culture so it never again concentrates more on Elmbrook's image than education. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Our next request to speak is David Irwin, a resident of the district, and on deck is Nancy.
Hi, I'm David Irwin. First kid got on the yellow bus to go to Tonawanda in 2008. Second kid should walk out of the East Gym with a diploma in the spring of 2024. When it comes to Elmbrook, I'm pretty much the slouch of the family. One of our kids was here with Coach Lead with you all last July when the Spartans took home another state championship. In fairness, the Lancers beat us in the state championship in soccer 2 years before that. As I see it, I mean, I'm a big fan of Elmbrook. Full disclosure here, what I see is a culture of achievement, a love of learning, civic-mindedness, and an acceptance of difference that is just palpable at every concert, theater production, sports event, award ceremony, graduation, award ceremony for teachers, for students. I went to a great public high school. Elmbrook beats it. Nothing's perfect. I don't mean to say that. For me, I wish our kids had been pushed a little harder in the early years. I know we have some declines in test scores, but they've been moving back up post-COVID. I hear some things about how we address the mental well-being of our children, the degree to which our schools feel welcoming to everyone, and some aspects of how we manage special education, although I hear more voices of great approval. There's also kind of this giant swirl of questions whether we, in my words here, are either pushing some kind of left-wing agenda or unduly sheltering our children from the harsh realities of history and difficult current events. Do I have another minute or so here? How am I doing?
Minute 20.
All right, so here's my view on the last one. Just because I see so many people using it to frame the current school board elections. I do believe that across our country, academia has a lot of left-leaning attitudes, which I broadly disagree with. I've said that to the Journal-Sentinel and to the Freeman. I've also said, and I restate here, that I do not see any kind of progressive agenda pushed in Elmbrook. What I see is a few single-minded residents, perhaps overly influenced by talk show hosts or politicians, who have searched for, and in some cases unfortunately found, isolated situations that they have labeled with CRT or grooming or catchphrase X. And they seize on these to try to create hysteria. If we look at the witch hunts or the Red Scare, we see where this goes. The calls for accountability, transparency, etc. are code for ripping out high-quality people that we have hired to run this district. I stand firmly against these trends. In districts where they have taken hold, good people have left, where boards have become controlled by members of this movement. These forces are reactionary and radical. I'm a big fan of Elmbrook, and I believe we need to conserve what we have that's special here.
Thank you, David. Our next request to speak is Nancy S. I don't want to mispronounce your last name. She is a resident of the district, and on deck is Angie.
Hello, my name is Nancy Santi Esteban. I'm a parent in the district. I have 2 kids, ages 10 and 12. We have lived here for about 5 years, and I've been very happy with our schools. I would like to say a few things about our school libraries. I first want to thank all of the library media specialists, library assistants, and teachers for encouraging our students every day to read and to become better readers. The mission of the Library Services team, as it's stated online, is to support the personalized learning journeys of all members of the school community by providing resources that they need to think, learn, and succeed. I believe it is the professionals in our schools who should decide which books are relevant to meet the needs of all the students in the district. As a parent, I know my children, and I know what they should read or what I want them to read or what they're ready to read, and they still surprise me every day by what they learn and what books they pick out. I don't know all of the children in their class, and I don't know all of the children in the school, but our librarians and our teachers do have relationships with all of the students. Many have good relationships with all of the students, and I think that they are the ones who are equipped to build our library's collection. I was very surprised to learn during last week's school board candidate forum that our school board president thinks that library books continue to be a problem in our district, and that it had recently been decided to conduct another review of our library collections. I want to ask, is there really a problem with our libraries? I know you've heard from some parents about a few books or a few issues, but what about the rest of us? I was very happy with my children's experience in their school library, where they could independently explore a wide variety of resources, both at school and on Sora. It wasn't until last year when the library policy was updated and books were removed that I became concerned. There are so many controls in the new policy. These controls show distrust in our students and in our educators, especially at the high school level. I am not the only parent who feels this way. Has anyone on the board reached out to families to find out what they feel about any of this? Before you continue to spend more and more time scrutinizing our school libraries and all of the resources that they hold, I ask you to please talk to more parents, send out a poll, and find out if the size of your reaction matches the size of this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next request to speak is Angie Pingle, a resident of the district, and on deck is Kenta.
Good evening. I'm Angie Pingle, and I'm here partly tonight on behalf of Friends of Fairview South and partly by myself. On behalf of Friends of Fairview South, we wanted to publicly thank the administration for helping us host the candidate forum. In order to maintain the timeline previously established by the prior sponsor, there wasn't a lot of time to get this going. So thank you, Mark Hansen, Christy Westfall, and Eric Hagan for helping us provide this important event to our community. With more than 600 views so far, we are really proud of the work that our small but mighty group did. And thank you again. Please get out there and vote if you haven't already done so. The polls close at 8 p.m. tonight. Now for the comments that are mine and mine alone. I received a notice this afternoon from the district warning about the potential for a virtual learning day for grades 6 through 12 if we have inclement weather tomorrow or any other day this school year. While most students this age are able to pivot to virtual learning, some special education children cannot. My son in particular is not able to sit in front of a Chromebook and participate in lessons with his class. So despite him being classified in the grade range for virtual learning, my son will miss out on a full day of instruction. His IEP provides him with a one-on-one teaching assistance and many other supports for a reason. He needs them throughout his day to access his free, appropriate public education entitled to him under the law. If we do a virtual learning day, what arrangements will be made for children that have required supports so they are able to participate in their school day like non-disabled, same-aged children? I hear a lot of talk about our inclusive environment, but yet there are some students that are being excluded. Mine. Please remember that a virtual learning day for some kids is just another day off. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Carla, I'll read it correctly. Carla Martins is next to speak to us, a resident of the district, and Doug is on deck.
Okay. When I voted this afternoon, I was thinking how such a small black dot on a piece of paper can affect so many lives. I was thinking about my daughter and about every kid in the Elmbrook school district, how my vote would impact their lives. Last week we had the candidate forum, and in the same room that we are here, and there was a topic that I want to talk about here, special education. This is for the current board members and the future elected board members. Board President Scott Wheeler mentioned there are about 800 students identified with some form of special education, the largest category being speech and language. This is equivalent to 10.5% of the 7,400 students at Elmbrook schools. To me, is a pretty alarming number. These students perform lower academic, and this is only one of the many difficulties parents, teachers, and caregivers have to deal with. All the candidates agree the board needs to be better educated on this topic. And they sure do, especially after I learned after Sean Firm's statement, he brought up that between 2009 and 2021, our nation has seen an increase of about 700,000 students with special needs serving under Disability Act. And I'm bringing this up here because all you guys agree that special education needs more attention. And I believe every parent, including me, will expect nothing less than from each one of you. 10.5% is not a low number, especially when compared to the 0.0004% of COVID cases affecting children, cases that we would have never known if they were not being repeatedly and heavily broadcasted by every single communications channel. If you guys were able to put so much effort, time, and money on something that did not really impact our kids, I hope you and the new board elected members watch less news and CDC recommendations and pay more attention to what's happening inside the schools. Because if the CDC and Fauci were so correct with the recommendations, there wouldn't have been an increase of 700,000 children serving the Disability Act. You can interpret as you can. Chronic illnesses, speech delay, autism, etc., they are the real pandemic, and we need to have more common sense and less obedience to irrational mandates.
Thank you, Carla. Our next request to speak is Doug Dyer, a resident of the district, and on deck is Katie.
Good evening, I'm Doug Dyer, Brookfield resident, and I have a daughter in the 8th grade. I want to talk tonight about the proposed compensation package for the superintendent. There is a clause in there talking about a health care benefit post-retirement that would be extended for 7 years where 75% of the premium is paid. My estimate is that over the course of that 7 years, that would be around $120,000 to $140,000. This type of package makes the board look bad. This is the type of thing that could bring in some negative press. I think that money would be better spent for the CapEx, or the capital spending bulge that we have coming in the next few years, some upgrades at Fairview South, and teachers' salaries. I am in favor of the proposed superintendent's package with the current performance incentives as listed, but I would like to see the healthcare item stripped out. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Katie Rasool, a resident of the district, is next to speak, and Ian is on deck.
My name is Katie Rasool, and I'm a resident of the district. I want to take this time to recognize and say thank you to the administrators in our district, to the principals and associate principals. I know many of you are here tonight, the directors and district leadership team. This is a wildly talented group of educators and leaders, and we are incredibly fortunate to have this group leading our district. The results have been steady, stable leadership through some of the most challenging times in education, and targeted, measured approaches when it comes to improving areas when needed. This can be one of the biggest assets of a district and its leadership, stable and steady progress forward. Thank you for delivering on that in Elmbrook. If perhaps you've heard the narrative that our school district is broken, well, that's simply not accurate. There will always be places to improve, and I'm grateful for this group of experts to help guide steady improvement. Thank you in advance for supporting these folks during consent agenda item 5C.
Thank you, Katie. And our last request to speak during the Citizens Forum is Ian Jacklin, a resident of the district.
Okay, I want to thank Diane and Carla for bringing up what I think we should be having a meeting about this subject only, the special needs. There would be no special. I'm gonna point out the elephant in the room. There would be no special needs if there was no vaccinations. Period. All of them are bad. Polio. Are you kidding me? That was the DTT that they sprayed on the apples. That's why polio only came out in the apple season. Okay, and now I'm really upset because this scamdemic is what it was. It was not a pandemic, it was a scamdemic. It was not COVID, it was 5G, I don't care what you say, it was radiation poison, it made people sick, and then they scared you into getting a shot. And those are the people that are dying right now. 3.4 million people are dead right now because they took their shots. Billions on the way if they don't learn how to detox themselves. So this is the kind of stuff that needs to be, we have to have meetings about this, not about how many people go to music class. How are we gonna detox our children that got these shots? That was a lie. It was a lie. They shouldn't have got the shots. And none of the shots should be allowed, ever. None of them. They don't do any good whatsoever. Died suddenly. Google died suddenly. Look, there's a movie right now called Died Suddenly. You will see thousands of people. Bam, dead. Microphones like this. Boom, dead. Boom, dead. Why? Because they got the shots. There's no other reason, okay? There's your elephant, the shots. So that's what we need to talk about. I don't want you guys hurting my kids anymore. If they ever come up with another scamdemic, y'all better be the first to say, we're not falling for that again. Because it was all BS. It was all a lie in order to reduce the population, whatever. You can do your own research. But seriously, we're here for our kids' health. That's it. That's it.
Thank you, Ian. And that concludes